You're listening to the Fantasy Fling Podcast. Take a break from the season-long commitment and join us as we give you the newest and hottest DFS deals, preview the DFS main slate, and take the dreadful walk of shame. Here are your hosts, Brandon and Eric.
Welcome to the Week 15 DFS main slate preview on the Fantasy Fling Podcast. You all right, Eric?
I'm good, man. I pulled down, like my hand got caught on the cable and it pulled my head. Shit.
Oh, my gosh.
Hello. Good to see you.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us. We're going to try to navigate through this dumpster fire of a main slate. It almost feels silly doing this podcast on a Wednesday as the COVID news just gets worse and worse. It's been snowballing since Monday. It was like 35 players, 37 players, something like that, had tested positive for COVID. Now it's up to like 75. It's like an avalanche, burying all the good plays on the slate, which is why we're seeing probably such low totals as far as Vegas lines. But stay with us as we navigate through it. Let's dig ourselves out of this mess together. Playoffs officially start this week. Are you out of it in season long? We might have to do a walk of shame for that, but that's okay. That's why we have DFS, baby. You can play DFS every single week all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. That is a nice part about it because there is a couple leagues my favorite leagues that I'm out of it, and I'm kind of pissed about it, but it is what it is. At least I can play DFS.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, we'll get to that in the walk of shame. But before we do that, we're going to look at Week 14, do a quick recap. Hot plays of Week 14, starting with the quarterbacks. Number 1 and number 2 in the same game. That game finally went off. It took a while to get there. It was looking grim for a minute, but Josh Allen, 42 points, top quarterback on the slate. Brady just behind him with 33 points. Early on, I was looking on DraftKings and I was like, man, this is gonna be a rough day. And then that game finally got going and ended up being pretty good overall. But Taysom Hill, he was the chalk at quarterback last week, 26 points, finished third, just behind him, Burrow. So kind of the same thing. Burrow wasn't doing a whole lot in the first half, and then finally, salvaged a pretty decent day.
That feels like a common theme.
Yeah.
For Burrow lately.
Yeah.
Second half.
Yeah. And, I had Burrow sacks, I had Herbert sacks, and Brady and Allen, so pretty decent day for me at quarterback, and then Herbert being fifth. But I did not have Rashad Penny. I had no exposure to him. I wish I had. It just kind of skipped me. And he was the top running back on the slate with 29 points, followed by Kamara with 27.5 versus the Jets. And really, honestly, I expected him to have a way bigger day than this. Finishing second, it just kind of goes to show how poor of a slate it was for running backs when Kamara vastly underperformed kind of expectations against the Jets and still had 27 points, finished second. And then right behind him, Fournette, he had a long touchdown run. He continues to produce 26
Every
points. Week. Yeah. And then 2 Broncos in this one. You saw it coming. It was versus the Lions. It was a DT remembrance game. They were gonna come heavy in Denver, and they did. So Melvin Gordon with 26 points, and then right behind him, Javonte Williams with 21 points. I did play Gordon in some tournaments, did pretty well. I had some Javonte too, but he was pretty chalky for splitting carries with Gordon. So yeah, that'll round it out.
Looked good there, man. Thought. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, last thing, Cook and Connor, they would have been the top 2 backs, but they were not on the main slate. So Cook with 38 points and Connor with 33.5.
Thought I watched that Bronco game, at least parts of it, and I thought that was I can't remember who intercepted the ball. Pretty badass.
Justin Simmons, yeah.
Simmons intercepted the ball, and they ran over the 88 logo. That was paying out there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing, amazing too.
I'm if you listen to us, I'm a Raiders fan, but I live here in Denver, growing up in Colorado my whole life, and I don't root against the Broncos per se. When that happened, man, I watched GT play for all those years, and so yeah, it was really cool that they did that.
Yeah,
good to see that. Moving on to the wide receivers, man. Someone who's I think he's been on this list, but never number one. In the slaughter of 93-7 score, the Raiders' Hunter Renfrow put up 32.7 points. The touchdown wasn't garbage. The whole game was basically any points he had was basically garbage time. He was 35-3 at halftime. So, but he every week he's like my cash lineup go to. He'll continue to be so until his price goes really high. But every week he produces. He's very solid. Usually gets a pretty good score, and then if he gets a touchdown on top of it, it's all the better. But Hunter Renfrow, 32.7 points. Tyler Lockett, another great game for him, 30 points against Houston. Jamar Chase did basically nothing until the fourth quarter, and then he scored against the 49ers because 25 points. Chris Godwin, who I feel like we see on this list almost every week, super consistent as well, 23.5 points against Buffalo. And then Robbie Anderson, 21 points against Atlanta, and that almost all came from P.J. Walker. So I guess, correlation does always make a causation. However, when P.J. Walker plays, he does seem to target Anderson. Take it for what you will. Take it for 10-pound grain of salt. But and then the first and second would have actually gone to Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp, but they were not on the main slate as well. So moving on to tight ends, second week in a row. Kittle, I think last week he scored 42. This week he scored 37. Guy's a stud.
He's been hot.
He's a good player, man.
He's definitely been the number one tight end this year.
Yep.
He's back in charge of that for sure.
Yep. He's
when he's healthy.
Looking good, man. Followed by Mark Andrews, 31 points against the Browns.
Yeah.
Divisional matchup.
I guess he would probably be the number one in scoring if I'm guessing. Haven't looked at anything, but I'm guessing it'd probably be Andrews on the year.
Yeah. I bet it probably is Andrews or Kelsey. I know Kelsey had a strong start. Kind of shit the bed after that.
Yeah.
Another guy, man, who's very consistent. Almost every week is Dawson Knox. In the red zone, Allen looks for him. He scored 19 points against Tampa, but he's pretty consistent for a wide receiver. And he's fairly priced again this week too. So just someone to look for. And then Albert O, another Bronco on this list here. 15 points against Detroit. I know he had a nice touchdown. Had a couple good plays in that game. And then Austin Hooper with 14 points against the Ravens. So two players from that game in the top 5 for tight ends against each other.
And by the way, Andrews is the top tight end on the season's 170 points.
Nice.
Followed by Kelsey and Kittle, but Kittle has played way less games than Kelsey. Kittle missed like 3 games. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
So,
Yeah,
yes,
Kittle,
sir.
I think, like season average, like point-wise, is probably Kittle.
Yeah.
I imagine if you just look at straight-up average, it's probably Kittle. But, yeah.
No doubt. Well, defenses, it's funny. So it just goes to show, like, there's so many different outcomes. There's a high range of outcomes with defenses, right? So you look at the Chiefs and Raiders game, and you're like, well, if this is one of the higher scoring games, maybe you should stay away from the defense. But all it took was, I guess, Vegas to dance on the Chiefs logo, and that didn't go well with Kansas City. So they pretty much smoked them, and it was over early. Really,
they hit the over the point spread by themselves.
Yeah,
the point spread was 48 points, and the Chiefs hit that alone.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So 24 points, and then Dallas behind them. Versus Washington football team, 22 points. Titans, 21 points. And then the Browns and Washington football team. It's pretty crazy, right? To see two defenses both score double digits. So the Cowboys and the Washington football team. Cowboys had 22. Washington football team had 14.
Right.
That's pretty wild. You don't see that very often. And then Falcons, 13 points versus Carolina. Cam got benched. I didn't expect that. In fact, I had Carolina defense. I'm pretty sure they were the chalk from what I saw. And but Cam
that
played
pick
like
6
shit.
helped. That pick 6 helped their point total. Like I think I'm done with Cam. They're basically benching him in the 2-minute warning, saying that PJ Walker knows the drill better.
Yeah,
it's like that's their 2-minute drill. I mean, that's a lot of times when players make their bank. So it's gonna be hard to play Cam moving forward, knowing he could just be benched any second.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, that's it for the hot plays of Week 14. But speaking of hot, Owner's Box. This is one of our hottest deals I played. I don't always play every week. Like I feel like it's one of those things you gotta pick the slates you want to play. Like a lot of weeks I'll focus on DraftKings, but if I feel like there's a good value for like quarterbacks and specifically Superflex, I will play. So a couple weeks ago I did really well in Owner's Box because I had a good lineup, but it's just overlay. That's really what it comes down to. So you're talking rake-free contests with overlays, no sharks. And they continue to offer free entries into a $50,000 contest that never fills. So check in on this. We will put the link in the podcast description. If you want to play DFS, you're tired of getting beat out by, the Awesimos of the world, the ETRs, the DFS armies, whatever it may be, give Owner's Box a try. So you like playing DFS and you like playing Superflex, give it a go. But moving on to the hot plays of Week 15, Eric. No. Sorry, we can't skip ahead. We can't skip the Walk of Shame. First, give me your hot plays, and then we'll do the Walk of Shame, and then we'll get into Week 15.
Yeah, man. I did okay in cash. Part of the Walk of Shame is as a cash lineup. I never got in, which would have crushed it. But I played Taysom Hill everywhere. I figured, looking at the last time he played, he ran for over 100 yards.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't expect that, but I think I said he has a baseline of 60, and he ended up with 73 yards, and one of those was a 44-yard rushing touchdown, which definitely helped pad the stats at the end. But, I played a lot of Renfro, as I always do in cash lineups. He obviously paid off. He was the highest scoring receiver of the week. I played a decent amount of Mike Williams. Didn't quite work as well as I hoped.
No, he wasn't good.
He was not. The whole week in total wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I also played some Javonte Williams as well, just because the guy's super talented and a stud.
Yeah.
And then I also played Kamara in cash and tournaments. I figured cash
I did too.
I was looking at it. I was like, it's a pretty good play in cash because the Jets defense is not good, and I expect them to be winning this game. So yeah, those were the main ones. Javonte, Hunter Renfro. I did play a little bit of T. Higgins because he's been on fire lately. And yeah, I played the Saints defense, which isn't really a hot play. I guess they got 7 points, but hey, it's all right.
Yeah.
Those are the best performers that I had of the week.
Yeah. It was one of the rare weeks where I didn't cash. So it's now 11 out of 14 weeks I've cashed. And I'll get in that Walk of Shame, but the tournament saved me this week from having a horrible week, just a total loss. Tournaments saved me. So, my best lineup, I placed pretty high in several small tournaments. There was an 8,000 person tournament. I placed 100 in, 176 points, which was pretty high scoring for this week. I think the cash line was about 130 points, and I think the Millie Maker, I know the Millie Maker, winner was 222 points. So overall, it was a pretty low scoring week. So yeah, 176 was pretty good. I had a Brady Gronk stack. Gronk didn't do a whole lot. Had Gronk had a big game, the stack would have been great. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Brady 33 points. Same thing, Eckler. So it was an Eckler Kamara lineup, and Eckler had a bad week, and Kamara had a decent week. I mean, he had the Flames. He was 7,900. 27 points. So, yeah, he was over 3X. Yeah, but, so he was pretty good. And then Renfro, I did have him in this lineup, so he was 30. He got 32 points. And Beasley, 15 points. Josh Palmer, 17 points. And then Jared Cook was not good. And really, if there's ever a game for Jared Cook to play well and to really score a lot of points, it was this one. I'm just not going to play Jared Cook anymore. He just doesn't have the type of ceiling you need. He's just not a good play. But yeah, then Gronk, and then had the Browns D to round it out. So yeah, finished 100th, 176 points. Not a lot other to talk about than that as far as hot plays go this past week.
Yeah, man. That's 176th out of 100th out of 8,000 people.
Yeah.
You said that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And then of course these small tournaments, 100-person tournaments, I continually finish top 5 in those. I had a 3rd place finish in one of those, and then I did have an 8th place finish in an 800-person tournament. So
nice,
that was pretty good.
Hopefully it was a decent buy-in. Made your money back.
It was only $3, but I 10x my money, so
nice.
I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll work.
Absolutely.
But so we're done with the hot plays. Now the walk of shame. Eric, I have 2 walk of shames this past week. So my ownership projections, I was having some technological issues, and the chalkboard did not update correctly, and so I had Cam and Taysom literally like the same ownership. They were just like a percentage or 2 apart, and I was like, okay, well, Cam is $200 more, so if I go down to Cam, or $200 less, so if I go down to Cam, then I could squeeze in this other player. Well, in cash, Cam ended up being about 4% owned, and Taysom was like 65% owned in the giant double. So, I mean, these projections that I was looking at, because it didn't update correctly, technology will do that sometimes. It'll screw you, and that's what happened. It screwed me. I should have just played Taysom because he's a better play overall, but I just got it in my head that, hey, he had a thumb issue, and I'm just like, you know what? I feel like Cam is a safer play, and that screwed me in cash. So I did not cash this week. And I made a couple other mistakes. Gibson, kind of crushed me, but he was 60% owned, so I don't think it was a huge deal. And then Mike Williams, I played him, and he did nothing. And then obviously Eckler, I played Eckler, nothing there. So it was disappointing, but it is how it goes. But my biggest walk of shame is the league of record. We talk about it. This is the league that I started. You've been in it. We're the godfathers of this league. 12 years now. We didn't make the playoffs. Not you, not me. This is only the second time this has happened that I haven't made the playoffs. But what gets me the most about it is, like, I'm bitter about it because, as you know, I was hiking. I hiked between Colorado and Canada, and when I got to Glacier National Park, the permit system, they were like, you can only camp here, here, and here. So they really like slowed me down. So I didn't make the draft in time. I auto drafted, and I didn't make the playoffs. And I know I would have made the playoffs if I didn't auto draft. So I'm bitter about it. That's my walk of shame. I'm not talking about it anymore.
Well, I'm bitter to add on to that same thing. I missed it I'm in 7th out of 12, so I missed it by 1 place. The guy is in front of me. He doesn't have a great team. I don't think he's going to get very far, but congratulations.
His team sucks. Anyway. It's trash.
But I'm pretty annoyed. Calvin Ridley was my number 1 pick overall, and that obviously just shot me in the foot. Didn't get enough for half the season. It was like, oh, that's great. So it is what it's
tough. Yeah.
I started slow, and I came on real strong at the end, but just not strong enough. But it is what it is. On to next year. Be back and better than ever.
More so than the auto drafts. I got screwed by A.J. Brown, and I got screwed by Bourbon Meyer, who won't give fucking James Robinson the ball. Get your head out of your ass, dude.
That guy's got some issues, man. He's got all kinds of stuff for popping up.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Something's wrong with that guy. And then the second one is I did okay in cash. I had a lineup that I had submitted, and I submitted it in a $2 lineup because I was building it, and I just submitted it. Mm-hmm. It was just a $2 cash lineup, and I ended up scoring 159 points, basically just under 160. And you could do the bulk entry of through DraftKings. You do bulk entry. So I went to do 7 different bulk entries at $10 a piece, $70. And apparently when I hit enter, I thought it went through, and I was like, all right, good to go. So I walked away. I was having my coffee, decided to just kind of go on a walk. I come back and it's after 11, and I go look at DraftKings, and none of those went through. It must have aired out or something happened, and I didn't follow up with it. And so basically I ended up losing $70, and I was pretty pissed because that lineup I put in scored just under 160, and I would have won basically all of them. So that's my walk of shame is, double check, measure twice, cut once. And I didn't do that. I walked away assuming everything was good. And the lesson learned there too.
No doubt, man. That shit's tough. It's tough.
Whoops.
Well, Eric.
I won that $2 lineup though.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, man.
And like I say, at the end of the year, so I will play DFS conservative most of the year. But when the end of the year comes, I'm either trying to have my bank account or my DraftKings account be at 0 or at 50,000 plus. The conservative shit goes out the window at the end of the season. And then, 2022 season starts and it's a fresh slate. I'm not trying to carry over winnings unless it's a lot, So that's where we're at. I'm looking at the cash slate. I'm going to give you a cash. We're going to talk the cash games, but I might not even play cash this week just because it looks so crazy. I might just go, let's just go contrarian altogether and let's just play a bunch of contrarian lineups in some tournaments because this slate's a disaster. And one thing I've found two times this year when I have not felt good about my lineup in cash, I did not cash that week. And I should have just not played at all. I should have just been like, you know what? Not doing cash this week. We're just playing tournaments. That was last week, and that was like 2 weeks ago. And if that's how I feel on Sunday, I'm not playing cash this week. Plain and simple. Go with your gut. Everything in life, go with your gut. Every time when it comes to females, when it comes to playing cash games, every time I don't go with my gut, I get fucked over. So go with your gut.
Oh, man. Well, let's move on to the Vegas lines.
Let's do it. Give it to us, Eric.
Yeah, man. So the lines are pretty low this week. So there's obviously a game on Thursday, Sunday night, and Monday like normal. But there's also 3 more games on Saturday. So we have less games this week and a whole bunch of players on the COVID list. So it's kind of a mess right now. We'll know, more as it comes through. But the highest point spread on the whole list is 47.5 points. That's Arizona and Detroit. They're basically saying Arizona's going to score almost all that. They're projected 30-point team total. So they're expecting them to slaughter Detroit, especially after they just lost on prime time against the Rams. The NFL is weird. Sometimes when it seems like a sure thing, it isn't. But I feel like they're going to kill the Lions.
They're gonna put their foot on their throat for sure. I feel.
Yeah, man, it's probably going to be a bad. It's a good game for the Cardinal fans, but.
Yeah.
And then you have Atlanta, San Francisco. San Francisco being favored with a 28 projected point team total. It's a 46-point over spread, and it's just, like I said, they're all pretty low. I don't know what to think of Atlanta. I usually play against them because at any point Matty Ice can just turn into Matt shit.
I mean, he could play ice cold for sure. Or hot. Yeah.
Then you got a 45.5 point spread. You got Seattle and the Rams. Rams favored to win, 25-point team total. You have Dallas, and so you have two 44.5 point projected games. You have Dallas and the Giants. I have no idea if Daniel Jones will be back. I don't even know if it matters. They don't put up points, with Jones or with Mike Glennon or whatever. Dallas is favored with a 28-point team total projection. Mm-hmm. And then Carolina and Buffalo, same point spread, 44.5. Buffalo's also 28-point team total projection. So they're basically saying those guys are going to win 28-16 for both of them. So, they're both favored pretty high. Pretty low point spreads this week, though, in general.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'll say about this? With the COVID news coming down, it's no surprise that this slate, especially with it being kind of spread out, right? We got a Thursday night game, we got some Saturday games. It's really no surprise that these games are projected to be lower scoring, which is fine. That said, I actually like it for tournaments. I don't want everyone on the same game. It's just going to be too chalky, and then you're going to want to fade the good plays. Let's spread it out. I like it. I feel like this is where you can have an edge. So let's find the game that is not highly projected, but can just go off. And then you target 1 to 2 games and you sack it like crazy. And maybe it goes off and then you just get extreme leverage on the field. So we'll see where we're at by making a million on Saturday. Dive into it a little bit more, but I like it. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the quarterbacks.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about them. You wanna fire it off? Start with some QBs?
Yes, sir. So there's going to be value on the slate. There's no doubt about it. There are too many players getting COVID. I mean, for example, the Dolphins, their top 3 running backs have COVID. So there will be value, I promise you, by the weekend. So I'm probably going to just pay up for Kyler Murray at 7,900. It's against the Lions. Like you said, they're coming off a loss. They can't be happy about it. They're going against the Lions. This is a get-right game. Kyler Murray, 7,900. He's coming in second highest projected behind Josh Allen, and it's really a less than a point difference. And he's $200 less. And as far as ownership, he's coming in as a second guy behind Taylor Heineke, which I'm not playing Heineke. I don't trust that dude. Not in cash. So yeah, I like Kyler Murray. If I do a pay down option over at DFS Army, looking at the top fantasy points per dollar guy, Tua is my guy this week versus Jets, 5,700. So we'll see where it's at. But yeah, he's coming in 3.56x right now, fantasy points per dollar. Keeping it simple.
That's a pretty high points per dollar there, man.
It is.
Yeah, Tua's looking like a good matchup for him. Good week.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Murray. He was the first guy I wrote down. I kind of write down players that in my mind I like, and then I kind of go back and just cross-reference them with what DFS Army thinks as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're on the same level, sometimes they aren't. But I had Murray as number 1. I really like him this week. I mean, he was kind of limping at the end of the game, so that's something to keep an eye on.
That's true.
Keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I also do like he's kind of he's an expensive option, but I like Josh Allen this week. The matchup is good. He's expensive, 8,100, but I do like him. And then Matt Stafford against the Seahawks, 7,000. I really like him this week. I don't.
That's a good
Seahawks
point.
really can't stop anybody, and Stafford, he could play a little bit off sometimes, but I think it's a great matchup. So I really like Matt Stafford this week a lot.
That's a game environment that I want to target in tournaments because if they can't stop anybody, we saw this last year at the beginning of 2020. Seahawks couldn't stop anybody, so they were just constantly in shootouts. But the thing is, if they don't have to push the pace, they won't. Pete Carroll will just play very slowly. But if you get the Rams scoring a bunch of tutties, Wilson can get cooking with Lockett and Metcalf.
And if the news is still out, so just play it by ear. But if Lamar Jackson is out, I'm on Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, he looked pretty good.
I mean, he's a runner. He ran 6 times for 45 yards. He played basically just like he had like 2.5 quarters or something like that, and he scored 13.5 points. I think the last time he got an opportunity, I mean, he's cheap, and I don't think I'd put him in a tournament, but he might be a good cash play. He usually scores enough points to make it worth your while.
Yeah,
I don't think he has a high enough ceiling in a tournament though. But if Lamar Jackson's out, then I like Tyler Huntley as well. Just throw that out there. Moving on to running backs. I'll start this one out. Again, I wrote down the first player that came to mind. And oftentimes the players you want to pick are ones that came off a bad game because people have recency bias. It's no end. And the first guy I wrote down was James Robinson. And lo and behold, when I'm looking at the list, I see James Robinson at the top over here, or close to the top. He's 5,400, might be the cheapest he ever gets. The problem is, though, is if he fumbles once, you have Urban Meyer over there who's got the ego the size of Texas, and he will bench him. And then he'll put Carlos Hyde in there. Carlos Hyde will fumble, but he won't get any punishment. So I do like James Robinson, though. He's cheap. Another guy, he was kind of limping at the end of the game, too, though, but James Conner seems to produce every single week. And I think even when what's his name, comes back. Drawing a blank on his name. The other running back. And when he comes back, I still think James Robinson or James Conner will have a good role as well. And then the other guy that I really like as well, there's a bunch of guys I like, but I like Javonte Williams again. Only 6,100. The guy is a stud, man. He's hard to tackle. He's a good player. He's really good. He should be if it's not too late at this point, you should be trying to buy him in Dynasty. Go buy him.
Yeah.
It might be too late at this point, but those are those 3 guys I really like. And the last guy I throw in there, he seems to produce every week as well as Cordell Patterson, 6,900. He seems every week the offense is kind of built around him. He seems to do pretty well. Good possibility of a touchdown or at least one. But yeah, those are the guys I have at my running backs.
I do like that. So looking over at the chalkboard at DFS Army, by the way, use code FANTASYFLING for 10% off a VIP subscription. This chalkboard is my Bible for cash games. I hit it every single Sunday, like I'm going to church. But looking over at that chalkboard, so I'm seeing James Robinson right now projected at 15% ownership as the top back. Do I want to play him in cash games? No. I don't trust Urban Meyer. Basically, I'm like Urban Meyer's wife when he's about to go out to the bar. I don't trust him, okay? But in tournaments, yeah, dude, give me all the James Robinson. Unless he's going to be the chalkiest back, then I just don't want it. The ceiling isn't there. If he's going to be chalk, I won't play him. So I'm with you, though, on James Conner, Eric. I really like him this week. He's probably my top back, the guy that I'm really looking at. I'm not seeing a lot of pay up this week. It's just, kind of 5 to 6K range for these backs. So James Conner. Michael Carter is designated to return off IR this week. So if he plays at 47 hundo, I like him. Give me Michael Carter for sure. Another guy I'm looking at, Elijah Mitchell. So he should be ready to roll this week. He didn't practice today, but if he plays, I want all the Elijah Mitchell. And then, from there, it's really, let's see what value opens up. Is Darrell Henderson going to be back this week? I would love to play him if he's back. But we really got to see, especially with all this COVID news. Now, one thing that's kind of sticking out to me that's kind of surprising is I am seeing Myles Gaskin is the second top owned back. Now, he is vaccinated. He tested positive for COVID, but he's vaccinated. So if he is able to have 2 positive tests before the game, he would be a great play this week going against the Jets.
The Jets. It's Chase Edmonds is who I was trying to say, by the way.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But, yeah, that's a good drawing a blank.
Wide receivers, Eric.
Yeah,
I know who you
position. Like. My favorite position. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
This is the default answer. I like Devontae Adams this week. I wrote down 3 guys that I liked before I started looking at the list. I really liked Adams. Man, the guy he's a stud. He's amazing. I really like Debo as well. It seems like I feel like if Elijah Mitchell is healthy, they'll put Debo back out as a pass catcher. Can't talk. If not, they seem to use him as the running back. But it looks like Elijah Mitchell's coming back, so he should be catching passes again. I do like Debo. He's another guy that just seems to produce every single week. He had kind of a down week last week. He scored like 12 or 13 points. But if that's a bad week for him, that's not bad. It's not too bad at all. I like 2 other guys as well. I really like Jalen Waddle. In a format like DraftKings where it's full PPR, he gets a lot of short passes, and those add up. And oftentimes he's got the speed to break one. And then the other guy I really like is Deontay Johnson. Same thing. The guy's a stud, even with Big Ben's failing arm. He seems to produce almost every week. So I like Deontay Johnson as well. I didn't mention the prices. Sorry. Adams is 8,900. Debo's 82. Deontay's 7,500, and Jalen Waddle is 6,600. Is a little bit on the cheaper side. If you're looking for someone who might be a bargain, Emmanuel Sanders got hurt. I don't know what's going on with him. If he's out, though, you might want to look at Cole Beasley. That opens up a lot for him at only 4,900. That's a really good cash, but he's same as Waddle. A lot of those short passes.
Beasley's only 4,900.
Yeah.
All right. I like that. So there is a scenario. So I am looking, if enough value opens up, this might be the week to pay up for Kupp and Devontae Adams. If you play a Tua and you play Michael Carter and Elijah Mitchell, and maybe Gaskin plays, then you can pay up for a Devontae Adams and a Cooper Kupp. Because really you're going to have to make a decision is, do you want to play Cooper Kupp versus Seahawks, or you want to play Devontae Adams versus the Ravens? You're going to have to play one of those guys for sure. So that's kind of where I'm looking right now. I like them both. Obviously, they're the highest projected guys. Also, highest fantasy points per dollar right now, Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. So we'll see how that changes. They're also looking to be chalk. They're looking to be top 5 chalkiest plays. So Cooper Kupp, 24%. And then Devontae Adams, 15%, what I'm seeing right now. Now, specifically, if you play Devontae Parker, I think you can afford him, actually. If you play Tua, Kupp, and Devontae Adams with Devontae Parker and those value backs, I think you could play him. So,
yeah, he's cheap. He's super cheap. Devontae Parker this week,
43. Yeah, and he's coming in as one of the top fantasy points per dollar plays. Actually, actually higher. Yeah, so higher than Devontae.
Poor
2.83.
Jets are always getting picked on.
I know.
It's funny if you look at the top of the list. Everyone on that list is a value right now against the Jets. Miami has Tua, looking to be a good play. Myles Gaskin, looking to be a good play. Devontae Parker, looking to be a good play. And I imagine the Dolphins defense, it's on the list, looking to be a good play. So let's just go after the Jets. It's kind of funny.
No doubt, man. In fact, I'm seeing
is
James.
Gesicki on the list? Oh, he sure is. There you go. Oh, man.
So, yeah, if you do a total punt, and, things got to shake right for you, right? Michael Carter has to be ruled active. Elijah Mitchell has to clear concussion protocol so you can have a Tua, Carter, Mitchell, Devontae Adams, Kupp, Parker, James O'Shaughnessy, Myles Gaskin, Panthers D. Or maybe you do the Lions D. I wouldn't do Lions D, but I think Panthers D would be possible. So you gotta do a punt. Maybe they're a little more value that opens up, and you could play someone else. Mm-hmm. They're a little cheaper than 5,600, and you could find a little better defensive matchup. But it's looking like it might be possible to squeeze in both Kupp and Adams this week, and that's kind of what I was thinking when I was seeing all this COVID news. You never know, man. You never know. If enough value opens up because of COVID, you might be able to play Kupp and Adams. So we'll see.
Yeah, man, that could be 70 points right there.
Yeah, that'll get you there in your cash lineup.
Studs. For sure, man. Well, on to the tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I haven't been paying up this year, but I feel like it's getting to the point where, Kittle being 7,500 just seems so high. But, man, 42 points last week, 37 points, 42 points 2 weeks ago, 37 last week. If you paid up for him, you were happy. I mean, you were very happy. He is expensive, and he's kind of got that injury risk. But, man, I'll still probably – maybe I'll pay up for him in a tournament. The cash games, it's a guy I keep coming back to who remains low price, but he gets a lot of targets, is Gerald Everett. He almost 4X last week, just under. I think he was 3.5. But he's 3,500 again this week. The matchup is likely to be them coming from behind. They're probably going to trail the Rams. I like him as well. And then I guess for the third time's a charm, James O'Shaughnessy. I'm coming back to the well, 3,200. I don't love it. And the other guy I have on there is I don't see him on the list, but Dawson Knox is pretty damn consistent. He's 5,100, and I like him this week as well against Carolina.
Yeah. I think that's legit. It's tough. There's a lot of pay-up options. There really are a lot. So right now what I'm seeing over at the chalkboard is Dallas Goedert, 12% owned, projection. George Kittle just behind him. He's 7,500. Goddard's 5,300. Gesicki 5,000. Everett 3,500. I would probably lean more towards Everett if I'm doing a pay up. And I mean, really, he's not really pay up at 3,500. But yeah, so give me some Kittle in tournaments for sure. Kittle, Goddard, those are the type of guys. Gesicki, but I'm just probably not going to play them in cash. I just don't really see that happening this week. So, Ingram is kind of intriguing at 3,100. And then, Gerald Everett at 3,500.
Yeah, man. I see we have a question that came through. Curious your thoughts on it if you want to open it up. So,
I commented on his question in the comment section, but if Josh Allen plays, I'm playing him. Just plain and simple. You play your studs if they play.
I agree.
And it's fantasy. It's the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So
also at the same time, if they can get away, the 49ers can get away with throwing 10 passes to beat the Falcons, they will do that.
Yeah, especially with Elijah Mitchell if he plays and he's healthy.
They just, I mean, it's a good matchup, but if they can beat them on the ground, then Shanahan will 100% do that. I mean, I don't think they fully trust. I mean, they know what Jimmy G is, and he can put up some stats okay sometimes, but if they're ahead, I mean, they don't. They're like they run. I'd rather trust Josh Allen. So that's what it comes down to for sure. If he's out, obviously it changes the story up quite a bit. Then you got to go with Jimmy G because you don't want to go with the backup because it's Trubisky. You don't want to leave your fantasy season in Trubisky's hands. But I guess he had like turf toe or something along those lines. So we'll see what happens. But I have a feeling he'll probably play. But I'd still trust him over Jimmy G because they're literally two opposite offenses. Like think about it. The 49ers will literally run nonstop. That's all they do is we'll run the ball until they have to pass. The Bills are probably, I think they pass more than any team in the NFL. So at least you have that opportunity there. So I definitely go with Josh Allen.
I agree. I would too. To finish off tight ends, James O'Shaughnessy I'm seeing is a top fantasy points per dollar play at 3,200. Higbee just behind him at 4,000. So he's definitely in play. And then, as we mentioned, Gesicki, Ingram, and then CJ Uzama versus Denver.
Yeah, man, he's I think he's I kind of feel like he's a better tournament play because he has weeks where he scores almost nothing, and then he has weeks where he scores like 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
CJ Uzama. But yeah.
I agree with that.
Let's move on to defenses to wrap it up. When they did the defenses, I wrote down 3 defenses before I looked at anything, and I came back and it looks like it's agreed with. So I wrote the game between the Jacksonville and the Texans. I wrote down both defenses because both offenses are pretty bad. Neither defense is
that's
great
fair.
either, but
yeah,
I liked either of them. They're both 2,800. They're both
it could
cheap.
go either way. Play them both.
And the other team I wrote down, one of the first things I wrote down was Denver. Denver defense is really good, and also Burrow.
Yes,
he seems to have a tendency to fumble a lot, and
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, he fumbles or throws interceptions or kind of mess up in the first half, and then builds or comes back out of the hole he created. But he seems to give up a lot of points.
So Burrow has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games this year with at least 1 interception.
But he's probably fumbled a lot too. I don't know that stat, but
yeah. But yeah, and he's had 1, 2, 3, 4 games with 2 interceptions or more, and yeah, he has fumbled a lot. You're right. So yeah, I like that, man. And Denver, it's an 11 o'clock game though, right?
5 fumbles. Yeah, I believe
I'm
it is.
pretty sure Denver is very weird. I know this is a Broncos fan. Those 11 o'clock games can be tricky, but
no, it's
sure.
2:05. 2:05.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I wouldn't have Mac. Oh, it's 2:05.
Yeah, 2:05.
In Cincy.
It's in Denver.
Oh, it's in Denver this week.
Yeah, baby, it's Mile High. They're coming up to our breathe our thin air.
Okay, yeah. Then give me Denver for sure. In tournaments, 2,900. I like that. Obviously, the Bills versus the Panthers. Is it PJ Walker? Is it Cam? Is it Darnold? I don't. It doesn't matter. They can all throw picks. So that's a pay up option I like. They're coming at top fantasy points per dollar, and then Jaguars above them, 2,800. So if you're not doing a complete punt, that's probably where you're going to want to go. 2,800 to like the $3,100 range for defenses. Definitely in tournaments, as we talk about it on Making a Millie, the Millie Maker special, 3,000. That's right around the average for tournament winning defenses in large field GPPs like the Millie Maker. So you have to be willing to pay up for defenses.
Yep. Indeed. I think, the Denver one, I'm debating on playing that in cash. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it is here, and it is later, and it is Burrow who's been a little turnover prone lately. Good quarterback, no question in that. He just seems to turn the ball over a little bit.
Yes,
the Broncos
sir.
have a really good secondary, so.
Yes, they do. And kudos to Justin Simmons for picking that pass off and then going and putting the ball right on the number 88 for DT last week. That was so cool to watch that live.
For sure.
Mad respect.
Absolutely.
Loved it. Well, that's going to do it for the Week 15 DFS main slate preview on DraftKings. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Appreciate you guys' support. And then we'll be back on Saturday this week. We're going to do a Saturday edition of Making a Millie, which I feel like Saturday will be way better for Making a Millie this week just because we've got so much news coming down. It continues to come down by the hour, so the later we could do it, the better. That said, I dropped Week 14 Millie Maker winner recap. That's over on fantasyfootballfling.com. Be sure to check that out. Subscribe so you never miss an article. And then, yeah, we're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on YouTube. Subscribe there so you never miss an episode. And we'll see y'all Saturday on Making a Millie.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you then.
Appreciate you.